Hello everyone, Tami Goveia here at Days of Days in Universal City, and today we are most honored to have joining with us Susan Hayes and her amazing husband Bill Hayes. Thank you so much for joining Dishin Days today. We so appreciate it.
We love being here. We love the Day of Days. We love getting to talk to you and talking to you. Ask us an interesting question.
I want to say first that Day of Days is a wonderful day. It's fabulous and it's exhausting, and we and we go from early morning to late at night, and it's just wonderful. We get to see people from all over the world.
It's the best kind of exhaustion.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's what it is.
We're stimulated by the excitement that the fans are feeling, and that reminds you that there are people on the other side of that camera, millions of them, who care about what you were doing.
Yes.
You know, you live in kind of a bubble here where you don't go out and tour. It's not like live performance, and it's wonderful to know that you're loved.
Well, the beautiful thing is when you were talking about sometimes the fans seem distant because you're in a kind of an insular world working on the show. But you're part of a 53-year-old tradition. Yes. This is a genre unlike anything else in media, in television and cinema. There's nothing like Days of Our Lives or the soap opera genre in general.
That's right.
You said ask me an interesting question, so I hope this is interesting.
Let's see.
I would love to know, you started the show in 68?
Yes.
Okay, and you hopped on in 70. What was your first impression of this gentleman when you first saw him on set?
Well, I had seen him on television in your show of shows and been a big fan. I had purchased The Ballad of Davy Crockett. I had seen him on stage starring in Bye Bye Birdie when they did the national tour. So he was not a new face to me. I had been crazy about him from afar for a long, long time. And now he was just about as far away as the camera is on the other side of the rehearsal room. And let me tell you, every woman in the room, kind of the feathers sort of fluffed up. And everyone took an interest, right? And I immediately took more of an interest in the show than I ever had before. And when I got to work with him, I immediately fell. I really fell hard. I'm always reminding him, I remember, I loved you first.
And your first impression of this beautiful young lady?
She was a gem. She was a dream. And for me, it's been a lifetime, a dream come true. When we first met, I was freshly divorced, Tami, after having been married 22 years. I was not interested in having a relationship of the heart with anybody. Fortunately, Susan and I were thrown together in wonderful scenes by our head writer, Bill Bell, and we rehearsed a lot together, so we spent a lot of time together. We got to know each other. Fortunately, Susan was engaged to somebody else that she'd been going with for 6 years, and so she was safe to be with. I had to go through a long period of adjustment before I could say, yes, I really am allowed to love her and enjoy being with her. It was a very emotional time for me, and seeing Susan for the first time was so memorable. It's just, we've had such a wonderful life together.
Well, you two are really the original super couple in daytime.
Well, they weren't using the expression super couple when we started. However, Time magazine was doing a cover story on the soaps as a cultural phenomenon at that moment in the early 70s. And there were approximately 12 to 14 shows on the air at that time. They did interviews and photographed all the shows. Then silence, silence, silence. 2 months went by. And then we walked into the commissary one morning, and the publicist for Days of Our Lives showed us the cover of Time magazine, and we were on it because we had the hottest story at that moment in time. So we were kind of doubly blessed. We had each other. We had a great storyline, and our marriage had just started. And there haven't been any downsides since. I loved Bill from the start. One was his beauty, two was his talent, then was his professionalism, and then I got to know him as a human being. And he was such a good person, such a kind, such a wise, such a spiritual person. I decided, gee, that's the kind of person I need to be. I bet if I hang out with him for the rest of my life, I might get to be a better person, and hopefully I have. And I was not sorry to say goodbye to the 6-year relationship with the newsman, which meant I had to watch the news at 5 and 11. It was hard on me, because the news doesn't change that much, you know what I mean? Anyway, so I fell in with this musical comedy star, and it's been a musical love letter ever since. I think we talked too much for that question.
Before we sign off, I do want to let everyone know that your book, Like Sands Through the Hourglass, I took a read of it. It's a beautiful journey, just not about your time together, working together and meeting, but your own individual journeys. You've been in the business since you were 4 years old, and so highly recommend it. Like Sands Through the Hourglass by Bill and Susan Hayes.
Thank you. And
yes.
You can get it on our, go ahead.
BillandSusanHayes.com.
There we are, available to the whole world.
Thank you so much. This was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Tami.
Thank you.